What's up, guys? Nate here. I know it's been a hot minute since I put anything out. It's been about 3 weeks. I've been trying to kind of learn about Unreal Engine 4 and how it works. I mean, it's always kind of been a dream of me to get into game design. But yeah, I found something interesting. This guy, Vertus, he shows you how to import like real world terrain, like what you see when you do terrain on Google Maps. He shows how to import that into Unreal Engine. So I don't know how this works. Maybe some of you guys that are smarter than me could comment in about how this works and everything. But yeah, I'll go to the video now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, your boy Vertus here, and welcome to a video where I'm going to show you how to import terrains based on real life locations. And the way that we're going to be doing this is by taking a height map that we're going to be generating using Open Topography and L3DT, and bringing it into Unreal Engine 4 as a height map. So this is some really cool stuff, and I hope you guys enjoy it just as much as I do. There's a whole bunch of complicated stuff in here, so just stay focused, just follow along, and you will get it in no time. Also, there is a companion guide for this in the link in the description. All the software and all the websites I'm going to use in this tutorial is also free, and you will find the links to those in the description. So the first thing you're going to need is Open Topography. Now, if you click that link in the description, it will take you straight to this website. This little map that you can see on my screen here is going to allow you to select a region or select a part of the world, and then take that landscape information and turn it into a height field. That height field we're going to be bringing into L3DT later on and converting it into a height map ready for importing into Unreal Engine 4. Now, the bit that I'm going to use, or the terrain that I'm going to use rather, is this little island called Cape something. I'm not too worried about it, but I'm just going to go and zoom in and select an area. Now, I'm going to take this little island here. Now, for selecting it, you just press select a region, and then you click, drag, and just get a nice little region just like this. And you want to try and keep it nice and tight to the island as well. That way you don't have any loss of quality or anything like that. Also, one thing I do want to note is try not to cut off parts of the island like you can see I am doing here. Just get the water, and also don't go outside of the red boundaries, otherwise it's going to mess up your height field, as there's no information outside of there. So I'm going to select this, and now that I've done it, I'm going to scroll down, and I've got to find a way to export this out. And the way I'm going to do this is by first things first, make sure you turn off the generate hillshade images, as you do not need those. And then moving down, what you've got to do is send a request over to the server. So just put a little job title in there. It doesn't really have to be anything too complicated, so just terrain, and then if you just chuck in your email address, literally anything you want, doesn't even have to be your real email address. And then if you give it a couple of seconds, it is going to take you to a download manager where you can download this information. So you can see here, it's all done, and then the bit that you're after here is called rasters _srtm, and this is essentially just a little zip file that you can open up and get the data out of. So give it a couple of seconds to download, and then when it has been downloaded, just open it with whatever you use for file management, so 7-zip, WinRAR. WinRAR is probably the easiest way to do it. And once you've got this, what you want to do is simply drag and drop and just place this on your desktop, ready to import into L3DT. So my WinRAR's just stopped responding. There you go. Click, drag and drop, and we're good. Close this. And now with my L3DT, I'm just going to open this up, and it may take you guys a little while because I've already opened it. Don't forget that it is completely free. Make sure you download it in the description below. And then moving on from here, we need to import that information. So what we're going to do then is start off by importing this. So go to File, Import, and import your height field. Give it a couple of seconds, and then just navigate to wherever you have put your output _srtm. And then open this up, press OK, Give it a couple of seconds to load and it should give you your little island or your region of terrain that you have selected. Now bear in mind, there is a couple of things that you need to do before this can be used inside of a height map, and what I mean by that is it just needs to be slightly better quality. We need to merge in another image and a few other bits, but let's just stick with it and carry on. So first thing you want to do is go to Operations, Height Field, and then resize your height field. Now what we need to do with this is set our width to 8192, and then just leave the bottom one to whatever it generates, as we want to keep the ratio. And then just press OK, and it's going to ask you, do you want to retain the physical size? Yes, you do. You don't want to change the size of this thing. The island should be about 20 meters or 20 kilometers across, which is right. So I'm just going to press yes, and that's going to keep it. Now what it's going to do here is it's going to pretty much just resize it, ready to go into a height map. Now we also need to export this in a second, but to do that we just need to wait for this to finish. I'm going to pause the video for 2 minutes and then we'll get straight back into it. Okay, so this is just finished and we are good to go from here. So what we need to do now then is just export this out into a terrain file that we can use and merge in a moment. So what I'm going to do is go to File, Export, and export your active map layer, and then select where you want it to go. So for me, this is just going to go on my desktop, and I'm going to give this the name Terrain, and I'm going to save it, and then just press OK. So now that we've done that, it's going to start exporting this out. What we need to do now is just generate a black image, which is 8192 by the same thing, just so we can merge it with this. And the reason why we're doing that is because inside of L3DT, the only information it has is the bits which have raised elevation. Yeah, it's got raised elevation. I'm not even going to try. Anyway, so the bits that are highlighted in green are the bits that it actually has information for. The black bits, it's got nothing, and the game engine does need those. So what I'm going to do is go inside of Photoshop. Now, it doesn't have to be specifically Photoshop that you do this with. You could do it with Paint.net or anything like that, but you just need to make an image that is completely black and uses the same settings as I'm going to use in just a second. So for the most part, these settings are pretty straightforward. Give it a couple of seconds, my computer's a bit slow, and then we will get into it. So the settings that we need here is 8192 by 8192, and make sure you set your color mode to grayscale, as Unreal Engine and height maps only take information regarding black to white values and sort of anything in between. Anything with color is just going to completely break it and stop your height map from working. Now once we've got this canvas, fill it completely with black, and then what you want to do is just save this as a PNG on your desktop or wherever the rest of your files are that you're working with. So press OK, and then we're good to go. So moving on from there, we can go to the next step, which is we need to take some information from this so that we can use it later on, because we're going to close this and start working with our terrain file in just a moment. So the two pieces of information that we are after is the horizontal scale and the vertical scale. So what I'm going to do is go to Operations, Height Field, and change my horizontal scale. I'm going to grab this value, and then I'm just going to chuck it into my sticky notes, as we're going to need it later on. Once again, go to Height Field, and then we're also going to get our vertical range. And the one that I'm after is our altitude range, which is 1339. And once again, I am just going to paste this into my sticky notes, as we're going to need this later on. I'm just going to press cancel because we're not actually going to be changing anything. So now that we've done this, we need to import our terrain that we just created. So I'm going to go to Import, and then I am going to import a height field, save changes. No, we don't need any of that. And the file that you're looking to import is this one here, your terrain. Do not import your output underscore srtm. And then once we've done this, leave the file name to exactly as it is already, give it a couple of seconds to load up, and then we are going to merge a few things. So give it a second. Okay, so now that we've got the information that we need, we have got to do two things. First, we've got to import our black image, and then we have got to dump our terrain on top of that. So what we're going to do is go to import, and then import a height field, choose no, and then just select your output and just press OK. And give it a couple of seconds to do that. And then this is going to dump our blank image in there. Sorry, no, what am I doing? I don't want to import my output. I want to import my black image. Now, we've got lots of files in here, so sometimes mistakes do go wrong. Just keep an eye on things and everything will be perfectly fine. So, with the black image selected, horizontal scale needs to be what we put in the sticky notes. So for me, that is 7.128. Paste that in, and then once you've done that, just click OK. Give it a couple of seconds, and then from there we should have a pretty much completely black image, which is perfectly fine, because we're going to be importing that terrain file that we just made straight on top of that, and that is pretty much going to give us our height map. So it's completely black, that's all good, and now what I'm going to do is go to import and then merge height maps and select your L3 DT file. And one thing you want to do is make sure to disable stretch to fit, otherwise it's going to stretch your terrain, it's just going to bring it out of proportion, and we just don't want that. So give it a couple of seconds, and then after that we should have something that looks similar to what we had before, and then from there we can start to worry about bringing it into Unreal Engine 4. So I'm going to pause the video, let it do its stuff, and we'll get straight back into it. Okay, so I've got my merged height map and it is looking good. So what we need to do now then is export this out in a way that Unreal Engine can understand. So what I'm going to do is go to File, Export, and you want to export your overlapped files. And then on your desktop, just create a new folder, as there's going to be quite a few files, and just call it Terrain Files, just like that. Open it up, and then just press Save, and just dump it into here, or, you know, just do what you gotta do, give it a name. Terrain, press OK, and then for the tile size and stuff like that, just set this to what I've got here, which is going to be R16, and then the tile size, you are going to want to set this to 2017, and format your file names for Unreal. That just means you're formatting it for Unreal Engine 4, and then just press OK, press OK again, and then it's going to resize everything and package it in a way that you can bring it into Unreal Engine 4. And having said that, at this point you want to open up the Epic Games launcher, wherever that may be, and then from there open up the engine, and we're going to create a new project, or you can put this into a project that you've got already. It is entirely up to you. Okay, so I've got my project open, and I'm just going to go and start a new level, and the level I'm just going to use is just pretty much completely empty, default, and that's perfectly fine for me. Now, you need to do a couple of things before you can do this. Open up your world settings from the Windows panel, and then within here, just enable your world composition, which is going to allow for a tiled, project. And sometimes it's going to ask you, please save your level to disk before enabling this. So I'm just going to save this untitled level, just do save current, and I'm just going to give this the name terrain test and press OK. Give it a couple of seconds to do that, and then from there enable your world composition, and then it's going to say also discover sublevels, that's okay. And then now that we've done this, we can start to bring in our game, or bring in our terrain rather. So what I'm going to do is from here I need to get some scaling values, and the way I'm going to get these scaling values is I've got to quickly go onto Google Maps. So I'm going to go to Google Maps, I'm literally just going to Google that in and then open it up, and I've got to find that region or that terrain that I just tried to get, because I need to get the distance across that island so I can input that information into Unreal Engine 4. So for me, my little islands were down here. I'm going to zoom in, and the way that I'm going to measure across this is right click and then add or just measure distance, and now click on the map and over here, and it's going to measure it, and I'm looking for about 35 kilometers. So now that you've done this, open up your calculator. Any calculators can be on your phone, can be on your computer, but we need to divide this number by 8 and use that to input it into Unreal Engine 4. And the reason why we're doing this maps is to convert from kilometers to our Unreal units value that it works with. So I'm going to do, and that was 35 divided by 8, and that's 4.3. So we're going to go back into our engine, and then we are going to write that down, which was 4.3. And then what we're going to do is open up our levels. So if you guys remember where that is. Cool, so to get open up your levels, just go to Window, enable your levels, and then from here you'll get this little window that is going to pop up. And then what you want to do is click on this little button here at the top left and just press Import Tiled Landscape. And then what you want to do is just press Select Height Map Files, go to your desktop, and you need to make sure that you select your folder where all your terrain files are. So go into here and then press Ctrl A to select all of these, and then press Open. And from here you've got to put in some values. So for your X, that is going to be where you get your value in a second, which was 4.3. Let's see if we can find it, 4.3. And that is good for there. And then for our Y, actually I'm going to put that on both of these, so 4.3 or 4 point, yeah, just 4 and 4, and we're good. And then for this, for the Z value down here, you need to do something, and that is just take your vertical range, which we had in our sticky notes before, and if you remember that was 1339, you want to do some maths to this and just multiply this by a little number. And the little number that I am after is over here. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to clear that. 1339 multiplied by 0.1953125. And then I am just going to copy that if I can, or I'm just going to write it in myself even. So just maybe move it off to your second screen or somewhere else, and just hook this up into your Z value. So, okay, so, and then paste this in, sorry. So the value for that is, this is for me, 261.5234375, and then from there we are all good. And then there should be a little button here that says flip tile Y coordinates. Uncheck this and press import, and that is the last step of making your terrain. Now this is going to take a little while to import your landscape, so just give it maybe 5 minutes. I'm going to pause the video and we'll be good to go from there. Okay, so now that they're all imported into the engine, we just need to do something real quick, which is select all of our terrain files and then just tell the engine to load these and make them visible. So select all of these just by pressing Ctrl and clicking all of these, and then just press load, which once again may take a little bit of time, so you might have to give it another couple of minutes. These terrain files are absolutely huge, so give it a couple of minutes, and after that we should have a brilliant looking terrain, which is exactly like the real life location. So give it a couple of minutes and we'll be back with you. Okay, so everything has just loaded into our levels. We are all good. Now, if you've got a blank level, you are not going to be able to see anything at the moment. If you go to the unlit view, you are going to notice you have a terrain here. Now, before we can see this properly, we're going to have to add in a directional light. And also, if we search all of the classes, search for a sky sphere and jump and add one of those into your scene. And now you will notice you have your terrain in your game. Now I have to have my camera speed all the way up so that I can see this. sometimes your terrain might be off in the distance, but the important thing is that I have got this real world location inside of my game, and I've got my mountains here, and it looks really good. And you can see the level of detail in here is just absolutely astonishing, and when you get to paint this, it's going to be even better. Now, this example is probably not the best of them because it is quite rocky. It's like this volcanic island, but it really does go to show the level of detail that you can capture with this. Anyway guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you want any of the values and the math stuff, make sure you check out the companion guide. The link is in the description. Thanks for watching, stay awesome, keep creating. Your boy Virtus, signing out. This video was made possible by my supporters on Patreon. If you want